fighting within the Oyo Empire. If the Yoruba wall did not crack open, the Fulani lizard would not sneak in. Ilorin, a strategic Yoruba town, was lost. Òpùrọ́ ilẹ̀ Ìbàdàn. Wọ́n lọ challenge mi, àbọ̀ challenge àwa kan nǹkan. Wọ́n wá ní kí n jáde kí n face ẹ̀. Mo ní that will never happen. Ìyẹn ò lè ṣẹlẹ̀ láyé. No, I don't compete with people. That is not my nature. Mi bá yàn fi gágbága. Ntọ́ bá ti jẹ́ pa fẹ́ dìbò. Mo lè sọ pé mo yọ̀ǹda. And again, kí la jọ fẹ́ máa sọ? Ibo la jọ fẹ́ jókòó sí? Kí la fẹ́ sọ? Ìtàn wo la fẹ́ sọ? Ibo láti bẹ̀rẹ̀? Òun lọ́ráyè ranù. Wọ́n ní ilé ẹ̀kọ́ Mùsùlùmí, ilé ẹ̀kọ́ Islam lọ́lọ́. Kò sẹ́ni tí ò lè sọ̀tàn. Ṣùgbọ́n ká máa sọ̀tàn, ká máa fọwọ́ ẹ̀ gbáyà ní nǹkan tó máa ń tí ò bá wà kan lára mu. Ìdí ni wípé kò sí ẹni tó wà níbẹ̀ ńgbà táwọn ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ yìí ṣẹlẹ̀. Ìtàn kọ́ mọ́, ó ti di àrọ́bá. Ńgbà tí máa fọwọ́ sọ̀yà lórí nǹkan tó ṣẹlẹ̀ 200, 300 years ago. Ṣé ǹtọ́ ọmọpọlọ wa ń bẹ ńbẹ̀? Tí n bá rò pé mo kàwé kan tó jẹ́ pọ́tọ̀ ní ti ẹni tí mo ka ìwé tó kọ, ọ̀tọ̀ ní tó sọ, ọ̀tọ̀ ní tọ́rọ̀ jẹ́ ńkọ́. Tó bá jẹ́ pẹ́lú mi náà tún ti ṣe nǹkan tó tún yàtọ̀ sí tó ń tọ̀hún, ìyẹn ńkọ́. Ó nìkan ni máa ń sọ̀tàn gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹni tó ṣojú ẹ̀. Mo ní báyìí lásìkò mo sọ. Ẹ̀rí tọ́pìkì ọ̀rọ̀ mi. Àpilẹ̀kọ ni. Kí ló wà níbi àpilẹ̀kọ ọ̀hún? Aláàfin Ọ̀yọ́ Cuddling a Dead Empire by Túndé Ọdẹ́ṣọlá. December 28 lọ́kọ́. Àwọn Ọ̀yọ́ wá reply ẹ̀. Ó wá ṣe 2 part 2. Inú ìwé ìròyìn The Punch ló ti gbé jáde. So inú ìwé ìròyìn The Punch náà lọ́yọ́ ti dá lóhùn. Ẹjá farabalẹ̀ bí ìyàwó tó fowó ọbẹ̀ dájọ́. Gbogbo àwọn nǹkan yìí kó lè bá wọ̀ rẹ́kọ̀dù ni. Lóòótọ́ èèyàn ní máa rìn kórí ọmọ mi. Gbogbo ayé ò lè fẹ́ràn ẹni. Aláàfin Ọ̀yọ́ kì í ṣe páláàfin Ọ̀yọ́ ò dáa. Position láláàfin Ọ̀yọ́ èèyàn lọ́ba Òwò Adé. Position lọ ní èèyàn lọ́ba ẹni ìtàn ẹni ọba èèyàn lọ ní ọba èèyàn ní Ọọ̀ni ẹni ìtàn Ògúnwùsì. So àwa la wá ń da gbogbo ẹ papọ̀ torí àpèrè tí wọ́n wà la fi ń pè wọ́n. Ṣe rí àpèrè méjèèjì ó tóbi ju any one of us lọ and ó tóbi ju any one of them lọ. Because ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ èèyàn ló ti jókòó sórí àpèrè yẹn. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ èèyàn ní sì ń bá padà bọ̀ wá jókòó lórí ẹ̀ ńgbà táwọn bá dàgbà tí wọ́n dògbó tí wọ́n lo 200 ọdún tó tún lé kí wọ́n tó lọ because àwọn méjèèjì ló sì young tí wọ́n sì nínú ayé ó lé 200 ọdún. So agbàdúrà fún wọn kó lọ ń jẹ́ kí wọ́n pẹ́. Àkàndọ̀rà gbogbo ọ̀bẹ nìkan kan jà. Ọ̀yọ́ ní ń bára wọn jà. Àwa tá a sì jọyọ̀ rí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn tó ṣẹ́kù lọ́yọ̀ọ́ Ìbàrìbá ni wọ́n. Tápà ni wọ́n, Bọ̀gú ni wọ́n, Fúlàní lọ́pọ̀ jù nù wọn. Ibẹ̀ yẹn kọ́ la fẹ́ lọ lẹ́ni. Ọ̀gbẹ́ni òpùrọ́ tó gbé rẹ̀ ló ń pè tàn tó bá fẹ́ dìbọ́ǹkì ẹ̀ kó dìbọ́ǹkì ẹ̀ fún wa. So ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ láti sọ sẹ́yìn, ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ látún padà sọ. Now Aláàfin Ọ̀yọ́ Cuddling a Dead Empire by Túndé Ọdẹ́ṣọlá, December 28, 2025 by Jade Akangbandere, the Oma child to his ba, the Maje father Àṣàmú to kékeré, the ló ti máa ń jẹnu ṣámúṣámú. Yes, deal with it. The mismatch opening sentence is intentional because it is confusion. I have an offer today. Not peace or order, not prostration or placation. My esteemed readers can't be eating Christmas rice and chicken while I rack my brain to produce an article which will be digested within 20 minutes amid muttering of now wow, and you said it all. No, I won't have all that. Now, dear readers, where is my Christmas rice and chicken? At all, naim bad. It is not only your mouth that can describe the road of Ọ̀yọ́. Ẹnu yín nìkan kọ́ ni wọ́n bá dé Ọ̀yọ́. My own mouth too can also describe the road to Ọ̀yọ́ if I cite a plateful of chicken and jollof rice. Even if my cheeks bulge with a mouthful of rice and my eyes bulge with food grade while I clutch chicken thighs in both hands, I still can describe with my mouth 100 roads leading to Ọ̀yọ́ right now. I'm journeying to the palace of Aláàfin Abímbọ́lá Akeem Owóadé, the Ikú Bàbá Yèyé, to celebrate Christmas with him. If you are interested, you can come along. Aláàfin has more than enough food and palm wine to go round. Now, let's get a bit more serious. If you run the jargoning first sentence of this article through a literacy self, you will get two intertwined proverbs, one English, the other Yoruba. The English proverb is, the child is the father of the man, and its Yoruba counterpart is, ọmọ tó bá máa jẹ́ àṣàmú, kékeré ló ti ń jẹnu ṣámúṣámú. Neither plagiarized the other, only that the same stream of thought flowed through different social milieus in different languages at different eras before congealing in wisdom. The English proverb was coined with William Wordsworth, an English poet, in his 1802 poem, My Heart Lifts Up. Its Yoruba equivalent, ọmọ tó bá máa jẹ́ àṣàmú, is a fruit of logic, dangling on a communal tree at the village square. Ìbò yẹn ni kò ní jẹ́ kó yé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn èèyàn o. Ẹ má worry àtú o. So, since the two proverbs mean the same thing, I'm taking both with me to Oloyo in Oyo. The child is the father of the man implies that the gamut of a person's childhood experiences, character, and values fundamentally shape who they become as an adult, stressing that the innocent, formative years of childhood lay the groundwork for the entire adult life. The proverb has a couple of other meanings, but the meaning I deploy here services for the engagement. The Yoruba proverb, ọmọ tó bá máa jẹ́ àṣàmú, kékeré ló ti ń jẹnu ṣámúṣámú, means a child that will grow to become àṣàmú, an adult, would possesses from childhood àṣàmú's sharp oratory skills. Let me bore you with the story a deputy governor told me many years ago. Tunde, I was a rascally child. There was no mischief beyond me. One day, I rummaged through my father's alcohol cabinet, which had all sorts of choicest drinks. Normally, I drink from any bottle that tickles my fancy, but one particular day, I took a swig from a dark bottle. It was so sweet, nice, and creamy. I took another swig and fell asleep right by the cabinet. I quote, I jerked awake to my father's cast on. Quickly, I locked the bar, bolted to my room, grabbed a book, and sat like a saint. There was a closed shelf. Hot air seeped down my nostrils. That night, I slept soundly. I looked forward to another drink from the dark bottle. On subsequent occasions, I drank from the bottle. Each time I drank, I topped it all with a little water. One day, my daddy had some of his fellow top civil servants visiting. He was happy to receive them. He went to his mahogany bar, opened it, and brought out various drinks. Clutching my bottle, my father proudly announced to his friends that he bought the creamy drink and some others from France. One of his friends took and I quote, my bottle from him, noticed it was already opened, but he didn't say anything. As he opened and poured the drink, my heart relocated. The drink that was once chocolate had turned snow white. When he tasted it, his face crumbled like a deflated balloon. He called my father by his name and showed him the content in the cup, saying, Lagbaja, this is not from France. I quote, my father was no nonsense. His instrument of chastisement was an entwined 6-wire wipe. After seeing off his friends, he stormed back in. He called us all to the sitting room and announced the crime. He didn't ask who the culprit was. He just said, I begin with the youngest. Hey, you come here. Aláàfin Ọ̀yọ́, cuddling a dead empire. So, Mumbo, my youngest sibling screamed, Emika, it is not me. Oh, it's Auntie Tamedo. I saw her when she opened your cabinet and drank your drinks. It is not me. Oh. Unknown to him that the soul of his Irish cream had been killed by his daughter, the deputy governor's father lived on phase 4O, believing that his bar was still as warm as a furnace, not knowing that it was as cold as a refrigerator. He was living in the past, like Aláàfin Ọ̀wọ́adé is doing today. Enthroned in the first quarter of 2025, Ọ̀wọ́adé has yet to clock 1 year on the apere of his forefathers. But it appears the Oloyo has been reigning for over a decade. The gbasgbos sound of pestle pounding the mortar in Oyo is not a dinner invitation. The sound is the drumbeat of an unnecessary war. On April 11, 2025, exactly 6 days after his inauguration on April 5, 2025, I wrote an article, Letter to Aláàfin Abímbọ́lá Ọ̀wọ́adé, in honor of the new king, congratulating him and charging him to rule in peace, love, and harmony. In the article, I prayed, may the land not be angry with your majesty. May Oyo live in harmony during your reign. Aláàfin, so far your feet appear set on path of honor. I beseech thee not to depart from it. Upon noticing the unmelodious bata sound emanating from Oyo Palace thereafter, I wrote another piece on May 9, 2025, titled Aláàfin Ọ̀wọ́adé, thy bata drum is sounding too loudly. In the article, I called on Ọ̀wọ́adé to tread with caution, warning that royalty road is strayed with banana skins. Specifically, I recall the controversial death of Chief Lukman Arunfali, the Baba Oba of Oyotunji, a U.S. community, after he was reportedly attacked in Alaafin's palace. However, the palace issued a statement denying involvement in the death of Arunfali. In the article, I also recalled how the Orangun of Ila, Oba Abdulwahab Oyedotun, and his entourage were allegedly treated shoddily during a congratulatory visit to the Aláàfin. From day one, I mean, right on Alaafin's coronation day, controversies erupted over what many Yoruba sons and daughters perceived as shady treatment of the Ooni of Ife, Ọba Adéyẹyè Ẹniìtàn Ògúnwùsì, whose name was not mentioned at all during the program as the culturally recognized head of all Yoruba traditional rulers. The Ooni was not given the honor to speak at the occasion. This action presupposes that the Aláàfin, even before his coronation, knows the complaints against the Ooni. My personal findings showed that when it was the turn of an Oba to speak on behalf of all traditional rulers present at Ọ̀wọ́adé's coronation, it was the Oloro of Oro in Kwara State, Oba Oyatoye Titiloye, a couple of month-old king, who was called to speak. When it was time for the Aláàfin to talk, he failed to recognize the Ooni or kings from Osun State. I don't think that's a good way to treat visitors who left their ilé àti ọ̀nà to come and felicitate with you. Olóró ọ̀fùró yìí ńlá ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ gbọ́ pé lẹ́nu ọjọ́ mẹ́ta ẹ̀ ni wọ́n ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ gbé adé lé lórí. So gbogbo ìbátan fún wa ń parí èdè ẹ̀yẹ dọ̀sí mi pé kò ládé lórí dọ̀sí mi pé kò jọba. Náà fi ń sọ pé Aláàfin gbé adé lé ọba kan lórí, Olóró náà ni Aláàfin gbádé lé lórí. Bó tẹ̀ jẹ́ pé controversy wà lórí ọ̀rọ̀ ọba jíjẹ. Tí mo mọ púpọ̀ ńbẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n tí mi ò ní dá sí. Ilé àti ọ̀nà to come and felicitate with you. In his 8-month reign so far, Owóadé had visited the Aseyin of Ìṣẹ̀yìn, Ọ̀yọ́ State, Ọ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ of Ṣakí, Ọ̀yọ́ State, Aláké of Ẹ̀gbá, Ogun State, Sultan of Sokoto, Sokoto State, Onítìdé of Tìdé, Ọ̀yọ́ State, Ọlọ́fà of Ọ̀fà, Kwara State, Olúwo of Ìwó, Ọ̀ṣun State, Emir of Ìlọrin, Kwara State, and the Olówókúta of Òwòkúta, Ọ̀ṣun State, on a thank you and familiarization visit, but he has yet to visit the ancestral and cultural head of the Yoruba nation, the Ooni of Ife, Ooni Adeyeye Ogunwusi. I suspect Aláàfin Owóadé is saving the biggest for the last. Ikú Bàbá Yèyé is at liberty to choose who and when to visit. Owóadé's attitude became a matter of particular concern for me because the heat map of his relationship with the Ooni indicates red, while that of the Arole Oduduwa is green. At this juncture, it is good to ask the Aláàfins a pertinent question. How has the Ooni wronged you? As I said earlier, it behoves the Aláàfins to associate with whosoever it desires, but it doesn't lie in his right to exhibit an attitude that casts the Yoruba in discourteous, arrogant, and royal light. I ask again, what has the Ooni done to deserve disdain from the Aláàfin when the Ooni has not publicly disrespected him? Before the Aláàfin thinks I'm doing a paid job for Ogunwusi, he should grab a copy of last Friday Punch and read how acerbic I was of the Ooni for installing Senator Olúrẹ̀mí, the wife of President Bola Tinubu, as Ìyá Aṣíwájú gbogbo ilẹ̀ Odùduwà, without using the symbolic Akoko leaves. The title of that my critic is Tinubu Adeori Okin befits Kwam 1, not Awujale crown. Aláàfin, nobody send me o. I am just in the queue of Nigerians who demand responsible leadership of our society to grow. The long queue of Nigerians demanding decorum from their leaders was shocked a few months ago when Owóadé announced that he was the only traditional authority that could honor anyone with a title that covers the whole of Yoruba land. Owóadé's announcement came after the Ooni honor an Ibadan businessman, Dr. Sanusi, as the Okoloma Oodua. The king of Oyo also gave Ogunwusi 48 hours to rescind the title given to Sanusi or face a consequence. The Ooni has not rescinded the title, and thunder from the Sango of Oyo has failed to strike Ogunwusi. Abi, does the Aláàfin meet 48 years? Or was the Ikú Bàbá Yèyé catching cruise, as the youth of today would say, when confronted with an unserious or funny matter? The youth of today will also say they play, or ọ̀rọ̀ àpárá is the Aláàfin playing. A foremost traditionalist and Araba of Òṣogbo, Ifáyẹmí Ẹlẹ́bùúbọn, shared his opinion on the ongoing issue, saying the old Oyo Empire, which Owóadé is using as a basis for his preeminent claim, was long dead and buried. He said, and I quote, Oyo should pay reparation to other parts of Yoruba land that they despoiled. Oyo wreaked havoc on fellow Yoruba towns, lording it over towns and villages, and forcing them to pay tributes. When they argue that there is rescue Yoruba land, did they fight wars as much as Ibadan? Where were they when Ibadan warriors repelled and defeated the Fulani? The old Oyo Empire had collapsed then. So should Ibadan also get up and say they are superior to Ile-Ife? No, how can a child be older than his father? Did Oranyan, who founded Oyo, not live from Ile-Ife? So what are they saying? Is supremacy fight what our kings should be engaged in now? Look at how many people Bashorunga killed. Look at how many Alaafins he killed. Is that the type of history that we should be proud of? Is that the type of history that a king should derive his present day authority from and try to lord it over others as if we are still in the past? The Alaafin should learn patience. Many of our traditional rulers are bringing shame to us. Was it Ifa or a royal election that made Alaafin superior? But the Oni derives his superiority from Ifa. I reminded Elebuban that Ifa chose the new Alaafin. He said yes, Ifa chooses kings, but the chosen king must also reinvent himself. To be continued. To be continued. Now, ṣé ká kápá kejì, ẹjá kápá kejì, ọjọ́ tá a bá rí Binu bí wọlé ká parí ẹ̀wọ̀n sàfọ̀ kó lè bá wọ̀n rẹ́kọ̀dù ni. Ẹ bá ń pín program yẹn, ẹ bá ń pín. Okay, Ọ̀yọ́ wá reply. Ntọ́yọ̀ fi reply lélẹ̀ nfẹ́ gbátá mi rárá o, short kí n kúrò níbí báyìí. Aláàfin Ọ̀yọ́ cuddling a dead empire's legacy. 1 January 2, 2026, 1 a.m. File Aláàfin of Ọ̀yọ́ Ọba Akeem Owóadé. And tó gbé jáde Túndé Mustapha. The article by Mr. Tunde Odeshola published in the Punch of Friday, December 26, 2025, under the title Aláàfin Ọ̀yọ́ cuddling a dead empire's legacy, is regrettably insulting, rude, and completely devoid of the civility, restraint, and decorum expected of a journalist written in a newspaper of the standing and prestige of the Punch. By referring to the Aláàfin of Ọ̀yọ́ with the pejorative and the meaning term Oloyo ni. Oloyo ni now. Oloyo will remain Oloyo. What do you mean? The writer went far beyond the boundaries of acceptable commentary. Such language is not only disrespectful but culturally offensive. As a Yoruba man, Mr. Odeshola ought to know better in Yoruba ethos and worldview. You do not diminish, ridicule, and trivialize an Oba. Ikú Baba Yeye, the living embodiment of the history, spirituality, and identity of a people. Kò tí ì yé mi. Àwọn èèyàn like láti máa gbéra wọn gẹ̀ sí ayán. Wọ́n like láti máa pọ́nra wọn ní àpọ́npọ̀ eégún gómìnà. It bears repeating that the Aláàfin of Ọ̀yọ́ is, and I quote, ọmọ ikú tí ikú ò gbọdọ̀ pa, ọmọ àrùn tí àrùn ò gbọdọ̀ ṣe nǹkan wá ẹ̀sán wá ìníyìn ní àbẹ́ ẹ̀yìn lè wá ìnara yín. Àìmọye Aláàfin Ọ̀yọ́ ló ti kú, kí ló dé tí kú fi pa wọ́n? Àìmọye Aláàfin Ọ̀yọ́ ló síkì. Ẹ ti gbà pé ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì ní kábíyèsí àná ni wọ́n ti lọ tọ́jú wọn, ibẹ̀ náà ni wọ́n ti sùn pẹ̀lú àwọn baba ńlá wọn ni. So ikú ò gbọdọ̀ pa wọ́n, ikú pa wọ́n, àrùn ò gbọdọ̀ sí wọn, àrùn ṣe wọ́n. Eléyìí tó kù tẹ́ máa ń pera yín làwò ní káwọ́ ọmọ kọ́lọ́mọjà wò rí ọmọ òfò, ọmọ àdánù, ọmọ àkóbálé, ọmọ àdábà òde. Àwọn òwúlẹ̀ ń kóbá, àwọn òwúlẹ̀ ń dábà. Lọ́sà mi ṣe gbogbo ìyẹn náà ló make sense. Ní gbogbo sóríkì gidi nu. Ọmọ àkóbálé, ọmọ àdábà òde. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ń kóbá àwọn èèyàn káàkiri náà ni wọ́n ń reject yín. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ń dábà wọn náà ni wọ́n ń. So ẹjá farabalẹ̀ jàre. Ọmọ àrùn tí àrùn ò gbọdọ̀ ṣe. Any writer who claims cultural awareness must understand that words directed at such an institution carry weight far beyond personal opinion. Mr. Odeshola owes the Aláàfin of Ọ̀yọ́ and indeed the Yoruba people unreserved apology. The Yoruba people you are referring to are Ọ̀yọ́, Akínmọ́rin, Awẹ́, Ìlọ́ra, Tìdé. Contrary to the insinuation in the article, His Imperial Majesty, the Aláàfin of Ọ̀yọ́ harbors no personal grudge, rivalry, or animosity towards the Ooni of Ife. The narrative of conflict between the two foremost Yoruba monarchs is a dangerous fabrication sustained largely by irresponsible commentary, bloggers, and self-appointed social media warriors, among whom sadly the author has chosen to enlist himself. So àwa ni social media warrior. Àwa number wí. Ìwọ́n ti fẹ́mi náà lé sí láàfin onírí. Okay, this needless attempts. So wọ́n ti mú Túndé Ọdẹ́ṣọlá náà sáàrin wa o. So this needless attempts to sow discord where none exists do grief harm to Yoruba unity and collective dignity. Unity wo ló wà láàrin wa tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀? What kind of unity are you talking about? Irú unity wo ló wà láàrin wa tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀? Ọ̀yọ́ ọ̀gbà fúnfẹ́ wọn ọ̀gbà fúnlẹ̀ Yorùbá tó kù. Wọ́n ń gapá, wọ́n ní gbàgbọ́ pa àwọn làwọn wà lórí gbogbo àwọn ọba aládé tó kù. Ọ̀yọ́ ló lọ bá ayé o. Ọ̀yọ́ ló ládé ayé o. Iná kú. Ọlọ́run ṣeun. Ọlọ́run ló ní kí n ti dọ́gbọ́n tan kékeré kan wájú tẹ́lẹ̀. Mo ti mọ̀ pé ọ̀láyọ̀lé. Okay, now on the matter of the Oyo Empire and its legacy, we make no apologies for our pride. We make no apologies for our pride. The Oyo Empire was built by the sweat, sacrifice, sword, and blood of our forefathers. It was the largest and most powerful empire ever established in the forest belt of West Africa. Kí ló dé náà? Empire tó ń pariwo yẹn. Báwo ló ṣe tóbi tó gan? That is no mean achievement. Long before colonial cartography, the Oyo Empire placed the Yoruba people firmly on the map of world history as administrators, warriors, diplomats, and culture bearers. Àwọn kankan bẹ téèyàn ò dispute pẹ̀lú Ọ̀yọ́. Yeah. Because ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nǹkan ló jẹ́ pé Ọ̀yọ́ ló ti ṣẹlẹ̀. Culturally, ó yàtọ̀ sí pé kí Ọlọ́yọ̀ọ́ tó padà wá di Aláàfin lẹ́yìn ìṣubú Ọ̀yọ́ Empire, Ọ̀yọ́ ilé. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn òwe ló jẹ jáde látọ̀yọ́. Ọ̀yọ́ ni ọba kì í mú ọ̀kọrin ló ti jẹ jáde. Ọ̀yọ́ ni bá wúrọ̀ ní ọ̀wálé Oníkòyí ò sinmi ogun lé lọ. Ọ̀yọ́ ló ti jẹ jáde. Àpọ́npọ̀ eégún gómìnà Ọ̀yọ́ ló ti jẹ jáde. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ló ti jẹ jáde. Torí bọ́ láwọn èèyàn tí máa wá ṣeré fọ́ba lọ́yọ̀ọ́ léngbà náà. Ìyẹn ò túmọ̀ sí pé kéèyàn ó sùn lórí ògo àná. Gbogbo ilẹ̀ káàárọ̀ oòjíire ni wọ́n ti ń gbèdè àti àṣà Yorùbá lárugẹ. Ẹ máa gbọ́ bí tọ́yọ̀ para wọn sí o. So, for the avoidance of doubt, empires do not die, they evolve. Ṣé Ọ̀yọ́ wá evolve? Empire yẹn ti kú. Ọ̀tọ̀ ni tán gbé dìde padà kì í sí empire mọ́. Because Ọ̀yọ́ ò lè dúró as an empire again. Because àwọn gẹ́gùn nílẹ̀ bá ní yálà àwọn kọ̀sẹ̀ tí wọ́n sí bàbá ẹni bàbá. Ilẹ̀ tí wọ́n wà yìí ilẹ̀ tán yá lò ní. So, they transform, adapt, and find new expressions across time. Àwọn tó kù ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀. Ọ̀yọ́ ò ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀. Ọ̀yọ́ ò rí ṣe. Roman Empire fall. But Roman Empire wà nǹkan míì láti dìde ni kì í ṣe tó ń gbé wọn ṣubú ńgbà yẹn. Kí ló bí Roman Empire ṣubú? N tó bí Roman Empire ṣubú ni àkólùpapọ̀ ẹrú àti oríṣiríṣi nǹkan. Ńgbà tí Roman Empire ṣubú, ọgbọ́n wo ni Roman fi gbéra wọn dìde padà? Wọn ò gbéra wọn ní empire mọ́. Wọ́n invent religion. That is Christianity. Ibẹ̀ yẹn ni Roman Catholic Church ló ti jẹ jáde. That was the first church on earth. Roman Catholic Church. After the fall of Roman Empire. láti jẹ gàba lórí àwọn ìlú tó kù. Immediately after the fall of Roman Empire, kò sẹ́ni tí wọ́n lágbára tí fẹ́ kágbára ó kù lọ́wọ́ àwọn. Wọ́n lọ tẹ̀wé òfin jáde, wọ́n pa àwọn èèyàn jọ, wọ́n ka òfin fún wọn, àwọn èèyàn dá wọn lóhùn. Ìyẹn ló bí Augsburg Confession tó wáyé ní Augsburg. Ńbẹ̀ ni wọ́n ti ronú pé ọ̀nà wo la gbégbà láti jẹgà àwọn tá a jẹgà balẹ̀ lórí ọ̀gbọ̀dọ̀ bọ́ wọ́n ti ń bọ̀ ojú ó ti à lẹ́nu ọ̀rọ̀ mọ́ àfi ká rí nǹkan kan tá a fi kó wọn papọ̀. Ìyẹn ló bí religion, ìyẹn ló bí Christianity rather. Christianity náà fi create Bible láti encode ọpọlọ wa sínú ìwé. Bible say ìwé mímọ́ sọ báyìí, ibẹ̀ yẹn kọ́ là ń lọ. Ọ̀yọ́ lọ yabẹ̀ ló jẹ́ kémi náà yabẹ̀. So the British Empire did not die. It lives on today as the British Commonwealth, sustained symbolically and institutionally by British Crown. Òótọ́ lọ pa, òótọ́ lẹ pa, ẹ parọ́. Ṣùgbọ́n báwo ni British Empire ṣe exist? Wales wà láàrin wọn, Ireland wà láàrin wọn, àtàwọn ìlú tó kù tí wọ́n jọ Scotland wà láàrin wọn. Nǹkan fi sustain as an empire nìyẹn. London, Britain, wọn ò sọ ní sọ wípé àwọn ju àwọn tó kù lọ, wọn ò ever jáde kán máa fọwọ́ gbáyà wípé àwọn ló lórí. Wọ́n respect other parts of the United Kingdom. Ọ̀yọ́ respect another part. Ọ̀yọ́ fọkàn sí pé láyé ìgbà táwọn ń kó àwọn èèyàn lẹ́rú yẹn, bí wọ́n ṣe ń wárí fáwọn yẹn náà ní ká tó máa wá wárí fáwọn lénìí. That was a great mistake. Ìyẹn ò lè wáyé mọ́, time yẹn ò lè padà mọ́. Evolve, bó o lè ṣe evolve. Ṣé ní technology ni, àbí ICT, àbí ní engineering, àbí ní sport, àbí ní telecommunication, ibo lè evolve sí? Ọ̀yọ́ town, ibo lè evolve sí? As far as I'm concerned, Ọ̀yọ́ ò kúrò níbi tọ́yọ́ wà. Ọ̀yọ́ ò develop. Ọ̀yọ́ máa develop lọ́la o, àdúrà wa ni kó develop. Ṣùgbọ́n as at today, Ọ̀yọ́ wà níbi tọ́yọ́ wà. Ọ̀tẹ̀ ni ọ̀jẹ́ kan ga, ọ̀tẹ̀ ni ọ̀jẹ́ kẹ́ ga. Because àwa tá a jọ́ mọ̀ ọ̀ràn míyàn ti kú lọ́yọ̀ọ́ lé àti wá. Aláàfin Onígbógí, wọ́n fogun lé, ó sá lọ sí Bọ̀gú. Àwọn Ọ̀yọ́ tí wọ́n tẹ̀lé lọ, wọ́n lò bí more than 80 years ń bẹ̀ wọn. Ogun lé òfin ràn. Kó lọ́yọ̀ọ́, ó dorí kọ̀nà gbó, wọ́n lò more than 100 years ń bẹ̀. Ṣé wọn wá mix pẹ̀lú another tribe lójú ọ̀nà ni? Sáwọn Ọ̀yọ́ nìkan ló kù nílé ni? Ṣé ní àjò kékeré ní àjò 100 ọdún? Ẹrù 100 ọdún tọ̀nà gbó mọ́ ti 80 years sí Bọ̀gú. Ṣé kò wá sí miss bọ́lọ̀dù kankan láàrin wọn bẹ́yẹn? Wọn ò miss mọ́ Bọ̀gú, wọn ò fẹ́ mọ́ Bọ̀gú, Bọ̀gú ò fẹ́ mọ́ wọn, wọn ò bímọ fúnra wọn. Wọn ò fẹ́ Bàrìbá, Ìbàrìbá ò bímọ fúnra wọn, wọn ò fẹ́ Nubé tí ń kógun jà wọn. Ńgbà tó Ògùntàn wọn sọ̀rọ̀, ó ní Bọ̀gú wọn nítan 1000 years. Ṣùgbọ́n Ọ̀yọ́ nítan, Ọ̀yọ́ ilé, Ọ̀yọ́ ọ̀rọ̀, ó nítan 1000 years. Wọ́n sì bá Bọ̀gú ńbẹ̀ ní, wọn ò sì nítan 1000 years. Ńbẹ̀ kọ́ là ń lọ. Ẹjá kan tá kàtán. Ó ní the Roman Empire may have fallen to barbarian invasions, yet Rome lives on spiritually. That is 100% truth. Wọn ò jókòó lórí n tó gbé wọn ṣubú mọ́. Wow, Mr. Ifani Ògúnṣọlá, ẹ̀yin lẹ kọ́kọ́ ra sticker fún mi lónìí, mi ní wáyé tí ẹ̀yin náà ní sọmọ nù lágbára Ọlọ́run. Ẹ kú ọdún ayọ̀ la máa ṣe o. That means mo ti sọ reality. Rome ò jókòó lórí ògo àná, lórí tó gbé wọn ṣubú. Wọ́n wá ọ̀nà míì láti dìde. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí èèyàn ẹlẹ́ran ara, tó o bá ṣubú, wàá wá ọ̀nà láti dìde padà. Bọ́mọdé bá ṣubú yóò wájú, bàgbà bá ṣubú yóò wẹ̀yìn. Àgbà tí ò ní nǹkan mú ló máa ń wẹ̀yìn. àgbà tó ní nǹkan yóò tẹ̀sẹ̀ mọ́rin yóò tètè máa lọ síbi tí ń lọ kó lè bá tètè débẹ̀. Ẹ gbọ́ o, the Roman Empire may have fallen to barbarian invasions, yet Rome lives on spiritually and symbolically in the Bishop of Rome, the Pope, before whom billions of Catholics across the world bow in reverence. Kí lọ̀yọ́ mú dání tá a fi fẹ́ báwò fún wọn? Sóògùn tó ti sọnù ní 1835 ńlá fẹ́ báwò fún ní 2026. Kò sóògùn kankan tẹ́ ẹ mú dìde. No area of specialization pé ntọ́yọ̀ specialize lé lórí rèé. Ẹ ní kòkó, ẹ lóbì, ẹ lọ́pẹ, ọ̀dàn ní gbogbo ilé Ọ̀yọ́. Kò sí legacy tá a fẹ́ follow mọ́ yàtọ̀ sí nǹkan tó ti ṣẹlẹ̀ 200 years ago, almost 200, more than 200 years ago. Ńlẹ̀ rí fáàsì. Ntáwọn ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n ń sọ fún ẹ̀nà pé ẹ wá bí jókòó báyé bá yí ṣe là báyé yí. And the most constant thing in life is change. Gbogbo ayé ló ń change, gbogbo òbí ló ń change. Ọ̀yọ́ nìkan làgbọ̀nsán tí ọ̀pá so èsìn dà. Àwọn dẹ̀ lẹ́nu wọn dòjù nígboro ayé. Àwọn dẹ̀ ní ọmọ fọ́kà, olórí ọba dé, olórí ayé dé, olórí igbó dé, olórí ìwín dé, olórí àjànú dé. Ọba Ṣàngó, Ọ̀yọ́ lọ́lọ́ba, agbìngbàdo ọ̀ràn sẹ́kùlé lẹ́kùlé. So, before 1 billion of Catholics across the world bow in reverence. Ẹ mọ iye church tán wó ní UK, ẹ mọ iye church tán tà ní UK. Èèyàn mélòó ní lọ church ní UK? Àwọn tí ń lọ church ní UK wọ́n ràǹfààní jẹ. Unlike àwọn business centers táwa ní káàkiri Nàìjíríà tá ń pè ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì. Ọlọ́run ṣàánú wa lọ́dún tuntun. So, it is with the Oyo Empire. So long as the Alaafin of Oyo sits upon the sacred throne of his ancestors, the Oyo Empire lives on. Its essence, authority, and historical consciousness endure, not as a relic of the past, but as a living legacy. What living legacy are you talking about? Are you referring to? On the legacies of the Oyo Empire, we need not overburden history with lengthy explanations. The Yoruba story answers for itself. Awala lede, awala lasha, awala lorin, awala nelu, awala loba, ajisebi Oyo laare. No careless prose, however flamboyant, can erase the truth. Ọ̀rọ̀ tó wá láti ọ̀dọ̀ Aláàfin sí ọ̀rọ̀ tí dáàdì mi tó dé Ọdẹ́ṣọlá sọ. So, bàbá tó dé Ọdẹ́ṣọlá wá ṣe part 2. Ẹ jẹ́ nǹkan wọ́n sàn fọ́ ẹ mọ́jà fi dọ̀la, ẹ mọ́jà fi dìgbà míì, àkànní kò ní já sí nǹkan míì. Wọ́n pè ní Aláàfin Ọ̀yọ́ cuddling a dead empire, bracket 2, that is part 2. Ẹ má bínú ẹ̀yin èèyàn mi o. Yeah. Tunde Ọdẹ́ṣọlá published in the Punch on Friday, January 2nd, 2026. Òní náà ló jáde. When he was a child, my immediate younger brother, Abiodun, had a piggy bank made of clay. It was a treasure prize beyond measure. 2 adults working in my father's construction company, BC Builders, Uncle BC Owolabi and Uncle Bayo, were regular visitors to our home at Lawanse Crescent off Kayode Street, Unipanu, Lagos. I do not know the game began, but I know it was a ping pong with Abiodun being the ball, and Uncle BC and Bayo being the players, tossing my younger brother between themselves. They built Abiodun a castle in the air where he lived and engaged in a wild goose chase. Abe, or Baba Dudu, as he was fondly called, had an infectious enthusiasm that propelled his feet to race into the arms of the adults each time they visited, asking them if they brought his aeroplane along. And I quote, "It is a small one that they had on sale today. We have ordered a big one," they will chorus. Or, "Is it a small aeroplane that you want?" No, Baba Dudu would shake his head. He wanted a big plane. Other times, when they visited, they would tell Abe that the plane was stolen where it was parked, and he would believe them in his meek innocence. However, Abe changed the material infrastructure to stomach infrastructure, asking for Coca-Cola when the plane was taking forever to land in our compound. But he met his match in the two uncles, who said one bottle of Coke would not be enough for him. The urged patience between the bottling company was busy looking for hundreds of bottles to fill Coke with, and Abe believed them. When the bottling truck took forever to come, they asked Abe if he needed money to buy soda himself. He nodded eagerly and ran to fetch his clay piggy bank. That was the moment Uncle Bayo folded his hand into a bunch and squeezed some invisible money into the bank, telling Abe he had put some money into it and that he should wait till the end of the year to break the bank. So, Abe carried his bank with the same delicateness Ali employed in attending to the angels. He looked forward to December 18, his birthday, when he would smash his bank and money would flood the house without incanting Ojogi, my master, across the sea. Show me the way, abracadabra. One day, Baba Dudu slept and broke his clay. Alas, there was no money big enough to buy a truck of soda except the torokobo he saved up himself. His face collapsed in disappointment. He looked to me for an explanation. I looked away. The uncles would have an answer for this, he thought. They visited the next day. He ran to them with the broken clay in his hands. I fell and broke my bank. There is no money in it, he announced. The money disappeared. Since it was not December yet, Uncle Bayo told him. But the money will come back in December, he added. And Abe believed them. For a long time, Abe banked on an empty bank, thinking the conch he was caressing carried Ade, the god of money. If he was cognitive enough, I would have told him he was in Oyo on your own. Expatiating on the absurdity in the Alaafin asserting authority over the Oni, the Araba of Osogbo, Ifayemi Elebuban said, the claim was tantamount to a child saying he was older than his father, hinging his authority on a verse in Ifa Corpus. Elebuban said, Olúkúlùkù kan kì í tọ́ ni, ọbakọ́ba kan kì í tọ́ ni, a kì í gbá yẹ̀kẹ̀tẹ̀ ká tẹ̀rín, a kì í gbá yẹ̀kẹ̀tẹ̀ tẹ̀fọ̀n. Meaning, and I quote, it is an abomination for any king whosoever to claim superiority over Oni. No king is as majestic as the Oni. Elebuban insisted that among all Yoruba kings, only the Oni had the supremacy established in the Ifa Corpus, cautioning the Alaafin to tread softly, otherwise he would lose prestige the more he attacks the Oni. Tẹ́ bá gbàgbé kí bàbá Ẹlẹ́bùúbọn tó sọ̀rọ̀, I was the one who said it. Ìgbà tí chapter yìí bá fi máa close o, ẹ rí i pé iyì kéékèèké tó kù lára Ọ̀yọ́ yóò tán, àpọ́nlé kéékèèké tó kù lára Aláàfin yóò parẹ́. Ṣé kò rí bẹ́ẹ̀? For readers who caused me out for referring to the Aláàfin as Oloyo in the first part of this article, Here is the panegyric of the ancestral kings of Oyo as told by Elebuban, Eleyo, Oloyo, ọmọ ajolú ẹni gbára, ajèsè yòókù níyàn, ọmọ asínú lọ́tí fẹnu lóyin, ọmọ asínú lágàdàǹgídí plantain wine, ẹlòmí ọmọ àgàdàǹgídí ọtí ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀, fẹnu lógùrọ̀ raffian wine, ọ̀rọ̀ lábù, ajé orí làbú ayé láyéká. The Oriki affirms the richness of the Oloyo as a king who ate shea butter, a costlier oil than palm oil, and drinks assorted beverages and honey. The title Aláàfin is a latter-day nickname after the Oloyo rebuilt his palace. 100%. Ìgbà tí wọ́n dé àgọ́dọ̀yọ́ ni Aláàfin tó jẹ jáde, kì í ṣe látilẹ̀, Ọlọ́yọ̀ ni wọ́n jẹ́ látilẹ̀. If the Oba of Benin, His Royal Majesty Omonoba Nedo Okuapolopolo Iwari II, was the ruler engaging the Oni in the supremacy battle, it could be said that the referred action, the first scion of Oromiyan, was beclouded by the greatness of his progenitor, Oromiyan, who hailed from Ile-Ife to establish the Benin Empire before moving up north shortly thereafter to establish Oyo Empire. But in a clear historical recollection, the Oba of Benin openly admitted the preeminent place of Ile-Ife in Benin kingship, stating clearly at the ceremony that, and I quote, historians all agree that Oduduwa sent his son, Oromiyan, at the request of the elders of Benin to return with them as the ruler of their realm. Oromiyan's stay in Benin may have been short, but before he left, a child was born to him, who was later crowned as Oba and is known today as Eweka I. Oromiyan's time in Benin, however short-lived, he was an Oba, and so he was the first Oba after the Ogisho dynasty came to an end. He established Obaship in Benin by implication. The listing of past Obas should therefore begin from Oromiyan, as it is listed in bracket Prof. Jacob, a Garibas book, I quote, a short history of Benin, actually making my referred father the 39th Oba that reigned in Benin, if the listing is counted from, and should be counted from Oromiyan 1. From Oromiyan, I therefore stand before you as the 40th Oba of Benin, a direct descendant of Oromiyan, although Iware's video does not relate in any way to the latest outburst of the Aláàfin against the Oni. The great Benin rulers will not accentuate history to score a childish point, as some Obas would do otherwise. At the ceremony, he could have re-emphasized the seniority of his kingdom over the Oyo kingdom by claiming eldership, but Iware was not petty. Also, the Omonoba Nedo Okuapolopolo will not circumvent history by giving prominence to Oyo kingdom, which is forebear Oromiyan established to avoid giving Ile-Ife its place of superiority. The Oba of Benin recognized the supremacy of ancestry over political power. One is permanent, the other is fleeting. Kingdoms come and go. The argument that the Aláàfin of Oyo promoted some Yoruba chiefs to the status of king still does not make him equal or superior to Oni. In every Odua state, numerous Yoruba Obas have promoted chiefs of king or king to kings. I listen to an argument that former Aláàfins installed kings in towns across Odua state. Yes, so it was. But this argument is useless in the face of the fact that the incumbent Aláàfin has no authority whatsoever over the towns where his predecessors installed kings. When Aláàfins purportedly installed kings in Yoruba towns, that was a period when some vestige of power surrounded the crown. Today, the crown commands no power. Ládé Aláàfin ọ̀ládé. Adé aládé kún lágbà fún. The Aláàfin cannot bar me or any Nigeria from visiting Ọ̀yọ́ town anytime, any day. Yàtọ̀ sí mi. Tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n báànù mi ìní nǹkan mú lọ́yọ̀ọ́ mọ́. Ará Ọ̀yọ́ wà mí gan wàrà Ọ̀yọ́. Kò sí dọ́gbọ́ sọnù lọ́run tí mo wá kiri Ọ̀yọ́, kò síbi tí mo lọ tí ń gbọ̀yọ́ kọjá. So, the same thing applies to the Ooni and all traditional rulers in Yoruba land. They are all paper tigers, whose only source of authority is cultural and historical. But the attitude of some Yoruba traditional rulers appears to negate the very essence of their existence, with many of them standing history and culture on its head. The Aláàfin is a classic example. I challenge Aláàfin Ọ̀wọ́adé to publicly present his letter of appointment and show the word of his designation bears. And I quote, the Aláàfin of Yoruba land. No Yoruba traditional rulers is king over the whole Yoruba land. The Ooni, by being the Arole Odùduwà and the virtue of sitting on the throne of Oòduà, the Yoruba rightly see him as the king of all Yoruba kings. However, if the Ooni does not carry the weight of his office with dignity, an obscure chief in the rivaling community of Ondo or Ogun State will belittle him. No traditional ruler in Nigeria has any role in the constitution. As a journalist, a little me has a role in the nation's constitution. Yes, as a journalist, I have a little role in the constitution. Aláàfin Ọ̀wọ́adé must be told in unmistakable terms, I quote, no empire exists anywhere in the world today. The Ottoman Empire collapsed in 1922. The British Empire collapsed in the post-WW II era. While one of the last purported empires in the world, the Central Africa Empire, collapsed in 1979. The Oyo Empire, which Ọ̀wọ́adé is currently carrying, collapsed in 1835. It remains intact by the Fulani, who capitalized on infighting within the Oyo Empire. If the Yoruba war did not crack open, the Fulani lizard would not sneak in. Ilorin, a strategic Yoruba town, was lost to the Fulani when Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò Àfọ̀njá rebelled against Oyo authority and invited Fulani forces to assist him. Thus, eternal conflict and treachery ended the Oyo Empire. The 1835 Battle of Ilorin was ruthless. Fulani Ilorin forces defeated the Oyo army and effectively ended the old Oyo Empire as a unified state. The Yoruba must ruminate on what caused the first fall and guard against a recurrence, because the ominous signs are here again. Ngbò wá níran Yorùbá ó ti wá ronú. Ọ̀nà wo ni tó gbé aṣubú tẹ́lẹ̀ òfin tó ń gbé aṣubú padà? Ngbà tó yẹ kí Ọlọ́yọ̀ọ́ Aláàfin kó dorí kọ̀nà Ifẹ̀ tó dorí kọ̀nà Ìlọrin. Ọ̀ká pa bàbá, òjòlá lọ́pẹ̀gbọ́n, abèrù Soro lọ́pàyà, ṣèbí lọ́pàbúrò, ọmọ tó wá ń dẹ̀sà ejò. Ṣé bọ́mọ òun ọ̀bá tàn kò yẹ kó bá rọ́bá? Ó wà ní òtàn gédégbé o, wípé àwọn Fúlàní Ìlọrin lọ́pàá Aláàfin Olúewu àti Wàrúkúrà Bàrùbá pẹ̀lú àwọn ọmọ ogun wọn. Ọmọ Wàrúkúrà ó kú ojú ogun, ọmọ Olúewu ó kú ojú ogun. Wọ́n mú Wàrúkúrà, ó dàbí ń pọ́n kọ́kọ́ fi Wàrúkúrà sínú túbú. N ló mú wọn sọ ọgbà àtúnrọ tí ń bẹ nílọrin ní orúkọ Òkèkúrà. Ìtàn parẹ́. Olúewu wọ́n gborí ẹ̀ lọ. ńlá tí bá rìn káàkiri gbùdùgbù aké ìtàn àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ tó ìjásàgọ́ ọ̀já. Àbò onítàn làwọn nìkan làwọn mọ̀ tán. To redirect our traditional institution away from the path of antiquity to the path of decency, our kings must stop competing to give valueless title to the highest bidders. I have never seen a Yoruba king give a title to Nigerians, soldiers, policemen, etc., who have laid their lives in the course of their duties, or who sustained injuries to save others, or invented some unique device. Titles are valueless when others pay to acquire them. Àbọ̀rọ̀ là ń sọ fún ọmọlúàbí. Email tunde2003@yahoo.com. Bẹ́ẹ̀ bá fẹ́ send email sí wọn. Bẹ́ẹ̀ bá sì fẹ́ bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀ lórí Twitter @tunde_odeshola. The Aláàfin of Ọ̀yọ́ and the fall of a dead empire. Well, unfortunately, time ti lọ gan tí mi ò sì mọ̀ pé time ó lọ bẹ́ẹ̀. Kó lè wọ̀n record mo wá fún. Kò sẹ́ni tí ń bẹ́ nìkan kan jà. Agbọ́n ń sẹ́, oyin ń sẹ́, sójú olóko dédé wú ni. Àwọn tó jáde fún Ọlọ́yọ̀, wọ́n ní Ọlọ́yọ̀ bá Ọ̀ọ̀nì jà. Kò sẹ́ni tó sọ pé ọba Òwúadé àti Ọọ̀ni Ògúnwùsì ń bára wọn jà. Àpèrè méjèèjì ní ń jà. Mo ti analyze sẹ́yìn. Ìyẹn sọ pá ń pa lọ. So gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń message mi àbí tẹ́ ń comment pé ó challenge irú yín, ó ṣe kinní kan, ó challenge rẹ̀. Àwa yìí pẹ̀lú ọ̀bọ jáwòrà. Asínwín pẹ̀lú kinní kan ẹgbẹ́ra, ọ̀bùn aṣiwèrè ọ̀kan jù àtó ń tó lè déédé. Asápẹ́ fún wèrè jù àti wèrè, the same thing jọ ni wọ́n. Mi ò ráyè gbogbo yẹn. Níbo láti máa jọ sọ̀tàn òṣì. Agandọ̀rà gbogbo àjẹ́ wà ra gbogbo sọ̀rọ̀ lójú ọlọ́rọ̀. Bọ́lọ́rọ̀ bá gbọ́ kí bàbá ńlá bàbá ọlọ́rọ̀ ṣe. Unfortunately, mi ò ní lè gbà pé. Ẹ ti rí orú ti fẹ́ ṣe mí léṣe. Mo kúkú ẹ̀yin èèyàn ra sticker fún mi. Kò sí wàhálà o. Ọlọ́run nínú àánú ẹ̀ yóò ṣiṣẹ́ gbogbo wa. Lágbára Ọlọ́run. Mo béèrè fúnra lọ́wọ́, mo ní mo fẹ́ ra generator. Àwọn èèyàn kọ̀ wọn ò dá mi lóhùn. Ọ̀yọ́ ti ní mi ò ní rí èèyàn dá mi lóhùn tẹ́lẹ̀. Wọ́n fira wọn ṣe ẹ̀yẹ, wọ́n láwọn fi mí ṣe ẹ̀yẹ. Kò kán rú wa. Mo ní di generator tó lè gbé àwọn nǹkan tí mo ń lò. And I said I saw a generator tó jẹ́ 3.6 million naira. Ìmí wà tán pè ní 4.8 million naira. Mo ní di generator tó lè gbé AC méjì, tó lè gbé àwọn iná tí mo ń lò, tó lè gbé àwọn equipment mi. So ń lọ sọ mí dẹni tó ń lo fóònù báyìí. Kò dẹ̀ sí nǹkan tí mo fẹ́ ṣe jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Now, mo wá sọ pé káwọn èèyàn ràn mí lọ́wọ́. Àwọn èèyàn ò tí dìde ràn lọ́wọ́. Mi dẹ̀rọ wípé yẹ kó pẹ́ mi bẹ́ẹ̀ láti rí 3.6 million naira. Because mo believe pé mo láwọn èèyàn tó pọ̀. Mo lọ́mọ káàárọ̀ òjíire tó pọ̀. Tó bá jẹ́ pé Ọ̀yọ́ nìkan ni ń ṣe, èmi believe pé ìlú kan péré l'Ọ̀yọ́. Ìbàdàn bẹ́ẹ̀, Ẹ̀gbá bẹ́ẹ̀, Ìjẹ̀bú bẹ́ẹ̀, Oǹdó bẹ́ẹ̀, Èkìtì bẹ́ẹ̀. Ntí mo máa ń sọ fáwọn èèyàn nìyẹn pé má nira ẹ kó sọ pé o níyàn. Now, àwọn tí mo believe pé mo mọ̀ wọn àwọn 5 péré ni. Pé at least pé o ká sọ pé we don't know who is who among people. Pé mo mọ̀ èèyàn 5. Àwọn 5 tí mo mọ̀ mo wá send the private mi láṣìírí ń tèmi. Unfortunately mi láṣìírí. Because I don't package myself. I always be truthful, be frank, straightforward and direct. So mo message wọn ní inbox wọn. Mo fẹ́ ra generator, mo ní di generator. Mo fẹ́ ra generator 3.6 million naira ní nǹkan. Ẹnìkan kan nu wọn ò tí reply mi títí di sin. So ó ti mean pé mi ò léèyàn. Because of my controversial báwo ni kí n ṣe pé èbó òdùn lẹ́nu mi, bóyá controversial status ló fà á tí òfin sólùrànlọ́wọ́ ká ní kọ́mẹ̀díà ní mẹ́nìsìn tèmi náà dẹ́rìn pa àwọn èèyàn ṣe hàn pé òótọ́ lọ́jọ́jà tó kùtà owó lọ́wọ́ wọn rèké òótọ́ ò kì í tà òótọ́ làwa dẹ̀ gbé dání so ìyẹn lè ṣàkóbá ká má rò lùrànlọ́wọ́ because táwọn èèyàn fẹ́ gbọ́ àsọ